Hello and welcome to Python Beginners Tutorial Series Part 2. In the last part, we learned about printing types of things and then printing those types and then line by line interpretation and parentheses first. Okay, so let's get started on our next lesson. So in our next lesson, which is this lesson, we're going to be talking about operators, and then we're going to be talking about variables, and then we're going to be talking about like modifying operators. So let's get straight into it. First, I'm going to create a folder called lesson 2, and in that folder, I'm going to create a file called lesson2.py. So it has to have the py at the end because that's a Python file, and that's the general thing for a Python file. Okay, let's get started. So the first operator I want to talk about is addition. So to add, we just do 5 plus. So like we do plus, but that's the operator to add. And so when we run this, we're going to get 9, obviously, because 5 plus 4 is 9. And then let's go to the next one, which is subtraction. Right, so let's do 5 minus 4. And here I'm going to get 1 because it's 1. And we didn't go over this in the last lesson, so going over it in this lesson, it's commenting. So commenting is basically like putting words on your code to help you understand, or you want to like not execute a line of code. So for example, I didn't want this to run because I don't want 9 and 1 to appear. I want to just show this, right? So I commented this out. You can also include your comments to make your code readable and understandable to other people, and you can also help, and it can also help you understand your own code. And I can do a comment by saying hash in Python and then typing whatever I want, right? So that's how you do a comment, and a shortcut to comment any line, just highlight what you want and then click Control and then slash on your keyboard, /, and then you can click it again to uncomment. Okay, so the next operator I wanted to talk about is the multiplication. So let's say print 5 times 4. So this is the multiplication operator. It's the asterisk or Shift 8 on your keyboard. So when we run this, we should see 20, yeah. The next operator is division. So we do 5 and then /4. This is 1 /, and then you see you get 1.25. So you get the decimal. For example, if I do 5 divided by 1, then you'll see that I get 5.0. So I always get the floating point number, right? Floating point, right? This always returns a floating point. No matter what you put, it always does that. Okay. So now I want to talk about the second type of division, which is floor division. So if I do 5 double divided by 4, so basically 2 /, then you'll see that it's not exact. It's not to the decimal. It's rounding down. So another example is 7 divided by 2, right? You'll get 3.5 in most cases, but using this operator, you get 3 because it's rounding down. So this operator is going to return an integer. Okay, so now that we got that, we can go to the next one. So the next one is exponent. So you're taking something to the power of something. For example, 2 to the power of 3, and this operator is double asterisk, so Shift 8 and then Shift 8 again. And 2 to the power of 3 is 8, so we're seeing 8 down here. Okay, and then the last one, last major one, is modulus. So modulus, you can think of it as remainder, right? So if I say print 3, and modulus is percent, so shift 5. So if you do this, I'm going to get 1, because 1 is a remainder of 3 divided by 2. So 2 can go into 3 once, and then after that you have 1 left over. So the leftover is what's going to come to your screen here. Okay, so those are the operators. And now let's move on to variables. So you can think of variables as a box with something in it, and the box has a label. So for example, I'm just gonna type one variable. Okay, so this is what's in the box, and this is the label for the box. So you're saying that you're setting integer to 5. So you're saying integer is 5. So if I say print integer, then you'll see that I get 5, right? I can also set this to a string or any of those other types we talked about in part 1 of this series. So for example, I can say string, right? And then it's going to print a string. So this name doesn't really matter. It's what's in the thing that matters. But be sure to name your variable something that would make sense for what the variable is holding. Like you wouldn't label a food box like toys, right? So try to name your variables properly so that your code is easier to understand. Okay, now let's talk about modifiers, like modifying operators, you could call them. So if I do integer plus equals by 1, you'll see that, oh wait, let me just uncomment this and then change it to a 9. So if I run this, oh, I'm not printing. So print integer. So if I run this now, then you see that I get 10, right? Because you're adding 1 to integer. So plus equals is basically saying its integer is equal to integer plus 1, right? So so integer's new value is whatever integer was plus 1. That's what this is saying. You could also do that with minus. So minus equals, and then that would be saying integer minus 1. So what you would see is, if I run this, you'll see 8, because 9 minus 1 is 8. Now you could pretty much do this with any of the other operators there are here. So for example, I could do times, let's say 2, and then I would get 18 because you're multiplying integer by 2. And then I could do the same with division, so I'd get 8.0, or 4.5, I'm sorry. And then that would give you, and then you could do the floor division, which would give you 4, because you're rounding down. And you could also do the exponent. This would be giving you 81, because 9 times 9 is 81. And then you could also do the modulus. This one would give you 1, because again you're doing the remainder, so you'd get 1. So you can do all those things with this. So yeah, so once again we covered operators, we covered variables, and then we covered these modifying operators. And basically you can put anything in front of equals. So now that we covered all this, I think it's time for an exercise. So this is your exercise. Find the area of a regular hexagon where A is the length of one of the sides. And remember, A should be any value. A should work for any value I give. So it should work for 100 as well as 6. Okay, now a regular hexagon is a hexagon or 6-sided figure with all same lengths. Okay, and the formula to find the area of a regular hexagon is 3 times the square root of 3 in parentheses divided by 2, and then this whole thing times a to the power of 2. Now, an easy way to do this would be to combine to first do the first half, and then the second half, and then multiply them together. And please note, the square root is also to the power 1/2. There is no square root operator in Python, so you can go ahead and do exponent 1/2. and put all fractions in parentheses, otherwise it might not work. So pause the video right here, complete this exercise, then come right back. Okay, so here is the answer. So first I'm defining A, and I can change this value to whatever I want and it'll still work. Okay, now I'm defining the first half and the second half, and then I'm combining those two to create the final area, and I'm printing it. Okay, so this is the 3, or the square root of 3, right? So this is saying 3 to the power 1 half, or the square root of 3 multiplied by 3, and that's in the parentheses, and then you're dividing that by 2 at the end. So if we go back, we see that this is the first part. Now, when you go to the second part, we see that the second part is a to the power of 2, and this is how you do it. And then we're taking both of these with the area, and then we're multiplying them together, and then we're printing it. So let's go ahead and run it for 3, and we get this. So this is the area. It's not perfect. It's a floating point number that keeps on repeating, but this is approximate. So if I change this to, let's say, 6, and save the changes and print, we get a different number, right? And this is because we're getting this different number because we're changing this. A is not a constant, rather it's something that can continue to be changed. So this was the exercise, and this was the video. And to review, first we covered all the operators: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, floating, floor division. Then we covered exponents and modulus. And remember, that's the remainder if you forgot. And then we covered variables, printing them. And then we covered the modifying operators, where you could do plus, equals, or any of the other operators. And then, yeah. And then for the exercise, again, we found the area of a regular hexagon with the side A. So thank you for watching my video. Please comment down if you liked it. Hit the subscribe button and like the video. Thanks.